Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
Okay, your worship.
Mr. Roy, good evening, everyone.
Could you please turn your microphone on?
Thank you. I thought it was on
Sorry.
automatically. And introduction of late items. Mr. Roy, do you have any late items you care to introduce to the agenda, sir?
No, your worship.
Thank you. Councillors, do you have any late items you'd like to introduce to the agenda? I just have one item I'd like to introduce under new business. It's a review of the Village of Gold River by law enforcement model, whether we have a reactive versus a proactive, and I'd like to have that conversation this evening during new business. So if council is willing to indulge me, I'll put that on the agenda. Are you folks okay with that? Okay. Great, thank you. Under new business. By law enforcement model, reactive versus proactive. Thank you. Approval of the agenda be adopted as presented. Who care to move it? Councillor Pickard, second by Councillor Waymar. Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Adoption of the minutes, that the regular meeting minutes from June 1st, 2026 be adopted as presented. Who care to move it? Councillor Fossin, second by Councillor Waymar. Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor? Public and statutory hearings, 2025 annual municipal report. At this time, the village is welcoming members of the public to present any comments or questions related to the annual report. As per section 99, 1B of the community charter, council must consider submissions and questions from the public prior to adopting the annual report. Administrator Roy, do we have any written in requests from council or inquiries?
No, we have not received any written submissions.
Gallery, is there anyone here this evening to ask any questions about the 2025 annual municipal report?
Your Honor, I went through today and.
Thank you, sir. Cool. Okay, then we can move. This is just, we can move forward in it because there's nothing to do on that one. Is that correct, Administrator Roy? Do we have to actually go through the process of?
No, there's
adopting?
a report later on the administrative reports to receive and adopt the annual report along with the Sophie report.
Thank you, sir. Unfinished business, seeing none, moving on. Delegations. We have none. Administrative report, starting off with 8.1, 2025 annual municipal report and statement of financial information. The council accept the 2025 municipal report and statements of financial information. You care to move it? Councillor Waymar, second by Councillor Fossin. Any discussion? Wow, that's great. I think our previous Councillor White summarized it very well for us, saying that it's the financial house is in good shape. And when you get the alumni coming in and endorsing what we're doing, that's that's encouraging to me, and that's affirming to me. And I share Councillor White's sentiments too. I think that our financial house is in good order right now, and I'm very pleased to see it. Provides the village with a lot of options that other communities may not be able to enjoy right now. And no discussion. Everybody's happy with it? Great. Call for the question. All in favor? Perfect. 8.2, annual water report, that the 2025 annual water report be accepted for information. Who's care to move it? Councillor Fossin, second by Councillor Waymar. Any discussion? We have, I see our Director of Operations here this evening, so very fortunate to have that expertise. I'm sure we'll ask you some questions if you want to take the hot seat there, sir. Councillors, do you have any questions that you'd like to direct towards our Director of Operations? I'm going to roll in if you'd like to start. Director of Operations, I was noticing in the report that it looks like the water consumption in the Village of Gold River has gone up in terms of liters per capita in 2025 over previous years. And I was wondering if you can comment on that and ask and maybe what you you attribute that to, if I'm interpreting it correctly?
You are interpreting it correctly. There's nothing directly that we've had that we can attribute it to. There's been some leaks and service repair leaks and I think a main break, I guess, over the course of the year. You know, fire practice, flushing operations. It's very close and it's not a very large increase, so it's not something that we're overly. It's not high enough increase to set alarm bells off.
Great.
There's going to be some fluctuation from year to year. And certainly this summer, I think over 2025 was also the second in a like series. 2023, actually 24 and 25 seem to be very dry, hot years thus far. So I'm sure that lawn watering and things like that are attributing to some of that consumption. And then when you add or layer on some service leaks or main breaks.
Okay, nothing to be alarmed about, just
Yeah.
yearly variations.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to inquire about is I've been looking at the Ministry of Environment's reports and water, land and resource stewardship and a lot of BC government reports, and they're stipulating or saying that our snowpacks at this time are seasonally low. In fact, you know, I know we've had some discussion about what what it means, but suggesting that our snowpacks at this time is 0% of what it was previous period of time at, you know, during this time. So I'm wondering, for benefit of council and the community, could you tell us what implications that has for our water system and hydrology in the area and how that works? Is it just, we don't have snow on the top of the mountain, sorry, it doesn't look pretty, no big deal, we can get through, or does that have some implications for us potentially over the summer season with our water supply?
For
Just
me
review.
again, to your worship, it certainly has an impact. The snow pillow gauges that you read about being 0% of the average or norm. It means there's less water being stored in the upper reaches of the watershed. There has been rain this spring, but it's off, like the hydrology of an alpine or mountain watershed is awfully complicated, and we don't really understand all the linkages between the snow creeping or seeping into seepages into the rocks and into the groundwater versus rainwater. But it's certainly kind of an alarming trend, if you will, with the hotter weather, drier weather, the lack of snowfall stored. I guess anecdotally, we were talking before the meeting, but some of this is new information since the writing of the report, but I did pull the most latest river data from the flow gauge, the Okona.
Yes.
It's on the Gold River, just below the Okona River, and it was just looking at the month of May average. The 70-year average was 123 cubic meters per second, and this year's average was 30.9. So we're still well above the 8.6 threshold to when benthic organisms or insects start to be negatively impacted, triggering the stage 3 water conservation, but it is still much lower than the average. So yes, it's kind of a combination. We don't know exactly how everything is linked. It's very complicated to understand the watershed to that level of detail.
Yep.
But it's not looking great on a trend curve.
Okay, so potentially we could have a hot, dry summer where we'd have to look at some more severe water restrictions because the water that we store, we don't have a reservoir to store it in. We store ours on the top of the mountain in the form of water, and it melts and its groundwater comes down, charges the aquifer at the confluence of the Gold and the Eber. As part of the hydrology out there, that's part of the premise behind how our hydrology works. And so there potentially this could be a year where we're looking at more severe water restrictions and potentially. Is that a reasonable assumption, Director of Operations Doxy?
If I may again, back to your worship, yes, that is absolutely a reasonable presumption. It would be a fair point right now also to mention that we moved to stage 2 water conservation level as of this morning.
Mhm.
The province had moved us to, The first stage is a May 1st date, and it's based
Chronological,
for kind of public engagement and communication and getting people behind the understanding of cutting back water during the summer. Stage 2 is based on the province triggering a drought 3 for the West Vancouver Island District. And then stages 3 and 4 are based on river flows, those triggering elements. Like stage 3 is negative impacts to benthic organisms, and stage 4 is negative impacts to like live fish, fries and such. So
So just for me to be clear, is that the Village of Gold River doesn't have an unlimited supply of water that it can draw on all summer long with no risk of having, water storages. We don't have a huge reservoir someplace that stores all this water for us that we can draw on all summer long, and not have to worry about water. Are we in a situation where we have unlimited water supply, and that's something we don't have to worry about regardless of what climatic factors that we're seeing around, or snowpack factors? Is this just false science that we're dealing with, or is this a reality?
if I don't want to say yes or no. If I may
Okay.
back through to your worship, we are reliant on the well field and the interaction between, snowfall, rainfall, and that seeping its way into the groundwater and into our well field itself. So we don't know the exact time that it takes for snowfall to melt and seep in and become integrated into our wells. That would be a highly detailed level of understanding of the hydraulical cycle for our mountains, but it's not a good sign. And yes, we have a finite supply.
Thank you for that clarification, sir. Another thing I noticed on your report that was very encouraging, I don't know how you do it, but you managed to get through the whole year without having any water infractions. Can you explain what that means to people who may not be aware of what having zero water infractions during the course of the year constitutes?
If I may again to your worship, that means we haven't had any failures or exceedances of bacteria or turbidity over the course of the year. We are fortunate in that we have clean groundwater. We don't have a lot of upstream users and a small population, a relatively small population, and so we're not required to disinfect, which would add another level of testing and potential faults to fall into if we exceed, say, chlorine concentrations and such. But for right now, we are fortunate in having clean water, and we keep testing positively or failing, depending on how you look at it. We're not having bacteria in our wells. So.
Mhm. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I believe that one of the things that we're fortunate to enjoy in Gold River is that we have some of the best quality water in the world. And when you look at it, we don't even have to treat it. We just draw it out of our aquifer and distribute it. And there's no treatment involved at all. So we have all the savings that are associated with that. And we still get some of the best quality water in the entire world in terms of, the bacterial contents or any pathogenic contents. And we're obviously in compliance with the Drinking Water Protection Act and regulations. So, and those are the standards that they establish for all minerals and biological elements and radioactive elements. So yeah, we're very fortunate. It's a great asset that we have. We don't sell it enough, but having the quality of water that we have at the cost that we have is great. I have a number of other questions, but I think I'm monopolizing the time here, so I'll just let other counselors, if they want to address any questions to you about on this topic before we go on. Counselor Fawcett, I'll start. And sir.
Thank you, through the chair to our Director of Operations. One thing I noticed some of the people in our community were mentioning to me is that as we move from stage 1 to 2, 3, possibly 4 and 5, they would like to see us as a village be more responsible with our usage of water as a corporation. So I'm wondering if the Director of Operations can maybe answer my question and maybe put some of our residents at ease. What they're really questioning is if they need to conserve water, why are we not as a village conserving water? So what they're asking is, why are we watering Nimkus Field, Barling Field? And is there any way we can encourage the school division 84 to withhold watering their grass as well. So through your honor to the Director of Operations, what are your thoughts to the questions that some of our residents are asking us?
Director of Operations, Doxa, you care to respond to that, sir?
For sure, if I may, through your worship
you.
again. It's a bit of a mixed bag. So Ukona and Marlin Field, we're actually not watering the northernmost field. We had a break and enter and some copper theft, and that entire system is down.
Yeah.
So the southern field is still being watered. Nimkish Field is being watered, and I'm not sure on the school district status, but they are probably watering. Some of these items were discussed when we developed the water conservation bylaw, and preceding that, the water conservation plan. The issues around these types of facilities are the cost impacts that go into creating the turf, the flattened field, the topsoil, the grass, and the cost, the irrigation cost that goes into it, and then the type of use. So when they play games on, say, a soccer pitch or a baseball pitch or diamond, whatever they call it, it's wear and tear. And so it's extremely expensive. It can be hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars to reinstate or rebuild a turf that's been destroyed. And so for that reason, you'll see that our bylaw does still allow for those types of watering uses. We reduce it where we can, but we still do try to keep them in decent shape. But it is a good point. It could come to the point where we have to shut down recreational activities so that we don't damage the fields and so that we can also not water the fields. But for right now, that's where we're at. It would be, I think, a larger conversation and an amendment to the bylaw possibly down the road if we continue to see drier and drier seasons.
Follow-up question, Councillor Fossin, are you good?
Thank you, Worship. I think that answers my question.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Pickard?
Through the chair, and thanks, Director of Operations and your team for this water report. It seems timely with all the talk that we've been having lately and watching the provincial bulletins on snowpack and all the talks about limited water possibly coming up this summer. And I'm just wondering, last time we had an update from you, we talked about well licenses and that we were looking at getting licenses for the wells. Wondering if you have an update on that.
No update yet. There's a few projects on the water utility side that we've got on our to-do list, and then that's one of them. So we haven't gotten it off the ground yet.
Thank you. And thanks, Councillor Fossin, for bringing up resident concerns about the village municipal water consumption. And besides really following, what's happening with the water bulletins and our water restrictions and when our allowable times are to water, is there anything else residents can do, knowing that we're kind of coming into most likely quite drought conditions and extreme temperature and low water conditions?
Again, if I may, through your worship, nothing immediately that comes to mind. Just being mindful. I think following the conditions of the water conservation bylaw, and just being mindful of using water when you need to use it, and being mindful that it's a responsible use and not being wasteful in your day-to-day activities. And otherwise, drink it and enjoy it. And yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. I think education and just being mindful of conservation is really important. So thanks for that. And then lastly, just also kind of touching on Councillor Fossin's resident concerns about municipal water usage. And now we're getting a little bit more just kind of accurate info on residential usage. So now that we have the meters put in, so we'll be able to monitor all residences and their water usage, do you think it would be helpful for data and metrics to have meters also on the wells, so we know how much water we're taking out of the system, and then can more accurately track municipal water and see where conservation is or what we're using, and have a chance to separate those two? Thank you.
Again, if I may, through your worship, absolutely. Right now there is a totalizer effectively, so it gives us a volume of water being pushed out by the wells. It's very simplistic. It's based on kind of the pump capacity and the number of run hours. So it's if there's a combination of things that can occur as your screens wear out, your well can become strangely more efficient. And the other side of the equation is as your pumps wear out, they become less efficient. So those totalizers become less and less accurate over time, and like metered flow coming out of our wells would help us in the future. It's something we're hoping to kind of build into affordability range in our budgets, and being mindful of looking after and going after when there's grants for such improvements. And increased and more frequent higher levels of drought on the island and across the province probably only help those type of infrastructure grants become available. But it may be something that we have to look at funding in the future too. So.
Councilor Rickard?
Yeah, thank you through the chair. And yeah, thanks so much for that. Yeah, it's my understanding the totalizers aren't totally accurate. So as they kind of wear out over time, yeah, maybe having grants on a radar for those meters would be really helpful, and they'll be able to have really accurate data. And seems like that provincial grant for the meters that we have now is kind of foretelling for what the future of the monitoring and measuring would look like. And last question is that last time too, we had an update from you, or maybe the time before, we talked about the industrial lots all having meters on them. So all companies and industry was kind of charged the same way. And so I'm just wondering if we have an update on industrial lot water meters. Thank you.
Again, if I may, through your worship, not targeted directly individually. They are still in the they are installing some of the residential ones and still serving out some of the more complex installations. Some of the industrial park lands are included in that. So they're not all completely finished yet. And I don't believe we have any installed in the industrial park just yet, but they are all going to be serviced with water meters. So as part of the project. So no cost to the village on that, and no cost to the property owners. So.
Good, Councilor Rickard?
Yeah, thank you for the updates.
Councilor Wimmer?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, through the discussion, I kind of heard how we don't have unlimited water, and I've talked to many people who think we have unlimited water. So I guess my question through the chair is, do we have an education campaign coming through your office to educate individuals that, we're not pulling water directly from the river just because there's water in the river does not necessarily mean our aquifers are as full and rich as possible. So, I guess, do we have an education program coming?
Again, if I may, through your worship, unfortunately, nothing no, not at this point in time. It is a good idea. It just does take some resources internally to put together. It's something we could work on. We've got some priorities we're kind of trying to push through at the moment, but it is definitely something on the radar, and we are trying to utilize other resources, so where the communities of practice group with the metering group, Neptune that's doing the metering contract, and then of course the province, where we can, we'll make advantage of such educational tools that are already out there and try to rinse and reuse. And if we, cross post or post links, we can try to take that course of action is probably the most prudent, immediate, path or whatever to doing something like that.
Councilor Wimmer, are you good with that?
Yes, thank you. And follow up on a different topic, just my love for information. I noticed that in your report, you do note that local weather station data is not really available to us. Not to throw another thing on your plate, but what does it kind of look like for us to get access to local weather station data, on, say, a village building?
It looks like it would cost a couple $1,000s to get a weather station that would record with a logger so that it doesn't rely on human air, like daily precipitation, wind, and temperature, some of the basics. I'd have to look into the details if they cover snow as part of the precipitation input, but it looked to be, kind of starting off, north of $1,000, and it looked like around $2,000 gets you a fairly decent data logging weather station. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
Councillor Pickard.
Thank you through the chair. And just want to say, Councillor Waymeyer, I think that's an awesome idea at some point. I know we have limited capacity right now, but just education and people understanding that there might be water in the river and it might be around us, but there's a cost to get it to our tap, right? And that conservation is important. And I think, yeah, maybe we could have eyes open for grants for that or some kind of education program. I think it'd be really great for residents to kind of understand what the whole picture is and ways that we can conserve water. So good idea.
Thank you, Councillor Pickard.
Thank you.
If I could just like to interject for a moment, we're on this theme. CEO Roy, historically, I remember that the Village of Gold River did have a publication on basically water conservation, and it showed, it depicted a hydrology of the area and made some recommendations on how to conserve water and gave people information on our water status. Do we still have that publication? Is that publication still in existence?
I haven't come across anything like that in my work in the past several years. I'll keep an eye out and maybe take another look, but I haven't seen anything
Yeah.
of that nature.
Yeah, I remember that used to be something the village distributed. Maybe Councillor White remembers back in his time more than mine, but I thought it was a publication that we put out there for the community. Okay, I'll leave that one alone because it sounds like you got it on your radar. Councillor Fossen?
Thank you through the chair. And this might be a question for our CEO.
Sure.
Or our Director of Operations. I'm thinking as we move into higher stages of water restriction, is it my understanding that we do have a bylaw enforcement for those who are maybe watering when they are not supposed to be watering, instead of a neighbor ratting on neighbor? I think we have a bylaw in regards to that for enforcement. Do we not? Just a question through the mayor to our CEO or Director of Operations.
Sure, who'd like to handle that one, gentlemen?
So we do have enforcement ability with our bylaws, but I think this also falls into the conversation that His Worship would like to have under new business and regarding the bylaw enforcement model. Right now, the direction we've had is that we're reactive. So once we get a complaint, then we respond. So it goes back to the as you phrased it, the neighbor ratting on neighbor. But I believe that's something that His Worship would like to have further discussion with the rest of council later on in this meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Fossen. Just on informing our public, I know that we have our water bylaw and what our different stages are, but other than the marquee that we have down at the rec center, gentlemen, where do we publish the fact that we've gone into stage 2? Do we put it on our website as well as the marquee?
Yes, it goes on our website and onto social media.
Okay, thank you, sir. Great. Have we exhausted the annual water report? Already have some more questions, Councillor Fossen.
Thank you. No, that brought up another question.
I thought it might.
Through the mayor to our CEO, just a question. For those seniors that do not access social media or the website, are we still looking at doing a possible, are we considering doing a mail out to the community for those who do not use electronic devices?
CEO Wright, have we planned or budgeted to send out our?
No, we haven't budgeted for any really additional mail-outs. I think for those, we kind of are relying on their marquee to hopefully capture those ones.
Good with that, Councillor Fossen? Great. Any other discussion on the 2025 annual water report? I think we timed out on that one. Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor of receiving it? Done. 8.3, 2026 election cost sharing agreement, Strathcona Regional District. Move that the motion is that council authorize the mayor and chief administrative officer to execute the 2026 election cost sharing agreement between the Village of Gold River and the Strathcona Regional District. Who'd care to move it? Councillor Pickard, second by Councillor Waymeyer. Any discussion? This always brings me back to Councillor Pickard and Councillor Pringle. That's a no-brainer. Yeah, I really I really admire our administration and the administration of SRD for looking at efficiencies and looking at ways in which we can get the same thing done cheaper, and this falls in that category, so you know, I'm fully supportive of it. And yeah, I'll be voting in favor of it. Anyone else have any comments, discussion to compliment staff or SRD folks? Counselor Pickard.
Thanks to the mayor. Great quote and agreed. Yeah, it's a great initiative, great to limit resources and take advantage of efficiencies and just reduce overall election expenditures for the district and the municipality. So thanks for partnering with the SRD, and I'll also be in favor of this. Thank
Yeah, so just for my clarification, CL Roy, how would that work? Like, are they just setting up their ballot boxes for the electoral area A for the SRD, and you guys are going to be managing it, and we get some money as a result of doing that for them?
Basically, yes, that's correct. They would provide us the ballot box and the ballots for the electoral area if they have to have an election. And that point, that would trigger the cost sharing for basically our time of our returning officers and stuff, so.
Great, thank you, sir. That's what I thought it was, but I just want to clarify it. Okay. Any other discussion? No, just keep on bringing as many of these to council as you possibly can, CO Roy. I love these ones. Any conclusion, call the question, all in favor? Done. Carried unanimously. 8.4, motion is agenda preparation and distribution policy and proclaimant policy, that the agenda preparation, distribution policy and proclamation policy report be accepted for information. You care to move it? Councillor Lawson, second by Councillor Waymire. Any discussion? This is just Councillor, excuse me, CO Roy, we asked you to bring these back. Is this just the revised documents that you brought back for
That's
information?
correct. You have adopted it with the amendments. This is just brought back so that you guys can see it, and which is why it's only been asked for information, because you have already adopted with the amendments.
Terrific. Thank you, sir. Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor? Terrific. Another one that I like. Okay. 8.5, this is a grant partnership opportunity, Mount Militia First Nation Rapid Adoption Projects. And the motion is that the grant partnership opportunity, Mount Militia First Nations Rapid Adoption Projects report be accepted for information. Who care to move it? Councillor Waymire, second by Councillor Fossa. Any discussion? Yeah, I know that we had a Broom Busters programming the Village of Gold River for many years, and I'm not sure how exactly it worked, but I know that we identified that as an invasive species that are very detrimental to our area, and could be cause for starting fires because it provided fuel, plus it displaced existing species, and people would go around and they'd volunteer their time and they would actually clean out this invasive species. So to me, this is just falls within that, it's in that concept that we recognize that it's not a species that's advantageous to our environment, and we would like to take actions to eradicate that. And I see that the Mount First Nations are looking at their IR down at Damascus, and that's sort of where they want to go and remove it. And I'm fully supportive. If our name on their application, their grant application, helps them get the money in order to get that done, that's a benefit to them, but also a benefit to us down at the foreshore. So I'm fully supportive of it. And I'm glad to see that's come forward, and we're looking, it's just another opportunity for us to partnership with the Mount Militia First Nations, as we have throughout our term, really, whenever we had the opportunity, and to use our synergies to get better results. And that's just neighbor helping neighbor in my mind, and to get a better outcome. So I think it's great. I'm fully supportive of it. I'd like to send them the endorsement. But any other discussion that council would like to have on it? Councilor Pickard?
Thanks, Mayor Lott, and through the chair, I agree and also support this application, agree with your comments. I think it's just great to partner with Mount Militia First Nation and also the SRD, and any different layers of government or municipal bodies or Indigenous governing bodies that partner together on grants, I know increases their their kind of strength. So I'm
Yeah.
really glad to partner with them and to show our support for applications that they want to put in that are led by them, but partnered with us and affect all of us, because there's no limits on where fires go and end. And we have a lot of village businesses just past that area too, where the highly volatile, all the Scotch broom infestation is. So I think it's a really great initiative. And thanks to Candace is their Fire Smart coordinator, and she's awesome. They hosted a fire event and movie up there, and it showed what this, I think it was Lytton, one community did to, Director Doxy was there, was it Lytton? Yeah, but they did all these different, okay, Lovely Lake, okay, but there was some really proactive measures that they did to make sure their community was more fire resistant, more fire smart. So it's small steps, all the little things, but this is one step that I think will just make the community, MFN and Gold River more resilient to fires. So thanks to Candace and Sean for this, and I'm glad to be partners with them on it. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councillor Pickard. Anyone else care to comment? Seeing none, no discussion, call for the question, all in favor? Carried. Second part to it is the action part. And the motion is that as part of the Village of Gold River's ongoing work in supporting wildfire risk reduction, that a council resolution be passed in support of partnering with the Mount-Mushlet First Nations on their June 2026 Rapid Adoption Projects grant application. Who care to move it? Councillor Waymire, second by Councillor Pickard. I think we discussed it to death and accepting it, but any other discussion? No, all good. Call for the question, all in favor? And I seen in the report, CO Roy, that it was kind of time sensitive that we had to do it tonight because they have to have it in, when was your date, June 26th or something? For their application deadline?
I believe so.
Yeah, thank you. 8.6 provincial meetings request for UBCM, and the motion is that council authorize staff to request meetings with provincial ministers to advance the Village of Gold River's advocacy priorities as outlined in this report. Care to move it? Councillor Fawson, second by Councillor Waymire. Discussion? I'd just like to compliment CEO Roy for being able to wordsmith all of the concepts that we had and put it together into a comprehensible document. And for all of council's efforts, especially Councillor Waymire, who did the yeoman's effort here and the heavy lifting and putting this together for us. And so I think it's a pretty good package that addresses most of the things that are priorities that council and the community want to deal with. So CEO Roy, did you have any comments that you wanted to make on that? sir?
I just wanted to point out that I did leave on your desks additional requests we got coming in from ICE-T today regarding a meeting request they were asking if we would do. So that's also, although that's not part of the package, that is in front of you for if you wish to add it or not.
So how did you want to deal with that, sir?
If you want to amend it, to include it as Mr. Brody has requested, then we would just do so and move forward.
And that's, yeah. So just to be clear that I seen that we had a memo and also you've given us a hard copy. I think Coastal Economic Trust, I think they're, did you want to include this, council? Did council want to include this also in their request to the ministers? And included it within this motion and just amend the motion to include this request? Councillor Waymire, what are your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. ICE-T is definitely an important part for, the entire island, let alone just Gold River. Got some great initiatives happening out at UQuat right now. I see no reason why we should not, fight for their continued funding. And I don't particularly know which cabinet minister we would be most under their umbrella. Jedi strikes me as the most, but if staff believes there's one that's more pertinent than the other, then I don't particularly care which cabinet minister I meet with, so long as it's the right one.
Thank you, Councillor Waymire. So Roy, would there be somebody with that Brody Gee would like to have us talk with Because I think they're piggybacking on us, right? Is that exactly what's going to happen? That we're going to have the meeting and they're going to join us and they're going to piggyback on with our meeting with that minister? Is that the dynamic here?
He didn't necessarily mention about joining us for the meeting, but just, he did mention 3 ministries that we could select one of them to attend, to go after with this request.
Yeah, so we would, will
he's-
we be advocating on their behalf? Is that the premise here? Because it doesn't seem like it's a
I-
request from the village. Is this a request from the village of Gold River?
I think technically we are advocating on their behalf, but we're also advocating on behalf of all the municipalities, including Gold River, that are within ICE-T's jurisdiction.
Okay, so they wouldn't be joining us in the meeting necessarily then?
Not necessarily, your
Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
I'm good for amending this motion to include this request and I'll leave it to the discretion of the administrator on what would be the most appropriate ministry to have us deal with, because he could talk to his colleague down at Island Coastal Economic Trust and find out which one would be the best. And I don't have any problem advocating on behalf of this group. This is a great group. They do wonderful work in economic development in the island. We're beneficiaries of it. A couple of projects, the Malachimishas First Nations Welcoming House, they sponsored that. They're also sponsoring the power project at Uquat, and they're doing a lot of great work on the island. So yeah, I'd love to see these folks carry on because they're closer to the communities and they got a better feel for what's going on. And I think that they've historically done a lot of really good projects. So I'm fully supportive of it. So I have no problem incorporating this in with our, that's just one more meeting for Counselor Waymire to go to. He's good. Counselor Fawson.
Thank you through the chair. And looking through what this physical copy here, they are asking us to possibly select a minister. And I'm just going to put my 2 cents in.
Okay.
I think rural development and the parliamentary secretary is one that we should really hit because we are rural and we have local First Nations. I think we're already going to be hitting the jobs and economic growth. But yeah, that's just my input. Thank you.
So would you prefer that rather than leaving it to discretion of the administrator and talking to their executive director and choosing the minister at that point? Are you recommending that we go with that one and just asking for council support?
Thank you through the chair. And I think as elected officials, we do make those decisions.
sure.
So thank you very much.
Okay, so I guess, how does everybody feel about Councillor Fawson's suggestion? I don't really have a preference. I don't have, anyone will work for me as long as the message gets through. So if Councillor Fawson's suggestion is agreeable to everybody, we can just ask staff to send it to that minister. Did you have any issues with that, CAO, Roy?
No, your worship, but just so everybody is aware, if a request goes in and the province feels it's better dealt with another ministry, they will redirect it. So even if that's who we think we want to meet with, they may redirect us and we won't have a say in that matter.
That's
Okay.
very good to know. Are you okay with that? I'm prepared to go with that. Councillor Fawson, I don't have a problem with that. Do you have any problem with that, Councillor Pickard, or his suggestion? To see that ministry? Go for it. Councillor Waymire, do you have any concerns with that? No? Okay, that would be the ministry that we'll go for then. And if they redirect us, I think Councillor Waymire, it's just instead of turning left on the hallway, I'll turn right on the hallway. We'll find somebody that'll listen to us. Councillor Pickard.
Thanks through the chair. One of you will find the right room, but they have a recommendation on here too. Mayor Michelle Staples has here to also, you could invite your local MLA. So maybe we could see if Dr. Kindy wants to join you guys on that chat too, because as we mentioned with the last grant, just the layers of government and layers of partnership really strengthen the talk. So maybe inviting her, she's been really great and come out and advocate and supporter of the area and the UCHAC and the village. So that would be kind of maybe a neat add-on.
Through your worship, just so you're aware, part of the filling up the request is asking if we want our MLA to be attending. So that is also all part of the process and it'd be one of the questions for ours. Do we want our MLA at ours?
Thank you, sir. Is that answer,
Sure.
Brian?
Yeah,
Good.
check
Okay.
that box. Thanks.
Any other discussion? Councillor Pickard.
Thank you through the chair and just also thanks administrator for putting together all of our ideas and words that we threw at you last meeting to come together for these backgrounders and these asks. And I was just wondering if we I don't know if I'm 100% comfortable with asking of her the Walrus Water, Land and Resource Stewardship, just on pausing implementation of the biodiversity and ecosystem framework. And I know that that framework's been in consultation and development for a long time in a draft, and there's some definitely criticisms of it, that there's really no quantitative objectives to guide the framework and measure success. It doesn't include wild Pacific salmon recovery and is a bit ambiguous, but I don't know. And is everybody okay with asking them to pause the framework? Thanks.
Did you want to direct that to somebody? Or just an observation? Counselor Waymar?
Yes, the
Okay, Counselor Waymar.
Yeah, so I guess the backgrounder of why we're asking for this particular one is that it's just another layer on top of forestry industry that kind of overlaps with, their already mandated protections of riparian areas and every other box they have to check. This is additional boxes in another ministry that could, I mean, even if the Minister of Forest says, go ahead, cut all you want. Now we have Walrus in the picture that could say, actually, no, don't cut anything right now. We have this. So that's why we're looking at the big pause, just, because we want to have, everybody's ducks in a row. We don't want overlapping layers of red tape. There's already plenty of that for forestry to go through. So that is the reason behind the ask.
Follow up, Counselor Pickard?
Thanks, Councillor Waymire. And yeah, it makes sense to not have know how slow and redundant those siloed ministries are. And yeah, thanks for the clarification. I agree, and I think a pause is a good call because it already is criticized for no objectives to guide the framework, and we see in the government puts something like that out without objectives or clearly defined goals. It is messy. So yeah, thanks for the clarification, and I support it.
Counselor Fawson?
Thank you. I appreciate both of my counselors and their input on that one. When I was going over this too, I was looking at the environment fund replacing the Mushlet Lake Campground dock. As I was thinking about that, I was thinking that is really kind of a pinpointed ask when I think we already will have MMNF and others looking into talking to Minister from Environment possibly on that. And we have had a member of our community bring forward something really close to home, which is the point of information stop along the highway down to the dock, where it is basically unsafe for our community or the tourists that may pull in there. So curious if we want to expand that from just the replacement of the Mushlet Lake dock or lake campground dock to maybe include something more local that really affects tourists and their safety as they head down to the dock, and maybe want to stop and look at the point of interest. It was something that was going through my mind as I was reading this this week. So just a question of councillors think it's
If
appropriate to add
Counselor
to
Fawson was open to it, I'd like to retain what we have in here too, because I think it's important, but I don't want to disregard what you're suggesting, but we leave that till we get to that discussion on that letter that we have, because there's a request there that we're going to have to address. And if we want to have some actions out of that, we could look out of an action or make a motion out of that. Would you be open to that, Counselor Fawson?
Yes, I just wanted to bring up the point that we're making quite a pointed thing with Mushlet Lake Campground Dock, and I thank you for that. I think we need to go for that.
Thank you, sir. Just a point of order there, Minister Roy, is that we don't really have a motion to include these folks in our yet on the table discussed, do we?
No, you don't, Your Worship.
Did somebody
Get an
care to
amendment.
make a motion about Island Coastal Economic Trust request? Councilor Waymire?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to include the iced tea ask for the Minister of Rural Development and Parliamentary Secretary.
Do we have, seconder, Counselor Pickard? No discussion, I take it. All good, call for question, all in favor. We go back to the original, that Counselor Ross staff to request a meeting with provincial minister to advance the Village of Gold River advocacy priorities outlined in this report as amended. Would that work for you, sir? Would care to move it? Counselor Pickard, second, Counselor.
Sorry, that is
Foster.
already moved and seconded.
Okay, already taken care of. Great. So just no other discussion on it? Call for the question. All in favor? Done. Reports from council. Counselor Fossin? Sir,
Thank you, Your Worship,
you're
and
welcome, sir.
to council, I just wanted to actually throw out a congratulations to all of our 2026 graduates that'll be graduating next week at the ceremony. And I don't want to speak for council and mayor, but I do know that we wish them the best. We want to congratulate them on their work that they've done for 12 years, maybe longer, to get to this point of graduating. And we want to encourage them to pursue their dreams
Yeah,
and to go forward strong, and don't forget Gold River when they leave.
terrific. Where you want any comment, Counselor Pickard? No, you're good. Anything else that you wanted to share with the community, Counselor Fossin?
No, thank you.
Counselor Pickard?
Perfect. Thank you through the chair, and thanks for that, Counselor Fossin. And you can speak for all of us, I think, to say congrats to the grad and wish them well. And on that same note too, we have our high school grads graduating next week, and last week, yeah, we had really some proud moments for Gold River. We had a few of our residents graduate from the New Channel Tribal Council with Bachelors of Education at the VIU campus. And I had the honor to attend that ceremony and watch a family member graduate, and just so proud of all those brave souls, and hope they stay in the community and teach all our kids. And I know their care for kids and their love for teaching extends past the classroom. So they've been just great in the community, and wish them all the best. And some locals also graduated with Masters of Education there also. And quite a few, there was a pretty solid group from MFN and locals that graduated from UVic's Indigenous Language Revitalization Program.
Mhm.
And they've been in that for a few years. So I have trouble with one Indigenous word, so hats off to them. They did great. And it's amazing to see our residents just growing and expanding their knowledge. And I hope they bring back all they've learned and share it with all our community also. I guess in the congrats mode too, we can congratulate our neighbor, the Hurricanes coach, Rob Brindamore, for the Stanley Cup win. And that'll be coming hopefully
Yeah.
locally. That'll be pretty neat for some of the hockey enthusiasts around here. And just in kind of the watershed aquaculture area, the AGM is going to be held tomorrow, BC Salmon Farmers Association. I think Mayor Lott's going to represent us in Camel River. So that'll be good to have some updates from them and see what things are going in that industry. And in the watershed area, as we as residents and operations are all kind of looking at water and drought conditions coming, expected really high temperatures. All the groups involved in kind of watershed monitoring are also expecting drought conditions and high temperatures. So just kind of bracing for that and wondering where impacts can be done for restoration. And I know that the Watershed Society has 72 loggers around monitoring temperatures in streams to know where the best places are for cold water for the fish. And those really high temperatures are deadly for salmon. So hopefully we can find some areas for them to have refuge in cold water. And there's some really neat just nature-based infrastructure kind of techniques happening in our region, including last year putting some big log woody debris up in the upper Octawamsh to try to get some flow back there. And also that gravel project building that nature-based infrastructure construction feature at the southern outlet of Mushet Lake to kind of help with low flow conditions. So I think all as a region and community and village and First Nations and regional board, the SRD, where everyone's kind of looking at the future and at these drought conditions and what we can all do to keep everything alive and flowing and healthy. So that's all there. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Pickard. Are you out there someplace, Counselor Pringle?
I am here in the ether.
Did you care to report on anything?
I have nothing at this time, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Pringle. Counselor Waymire.
Yeah, I think I spent most of the last 2 weeks in a bit of a blur trying to get all the UBCMAS together. I guess a big shout out to our CAO for taking what was sometimes pretty choppy backgrounds and turn them into thought out asks. So thank you very much for that. And then also a shout out to our economic development officer, who's big part of what we're doing here for council is, and our strategy is getting something happening down at West Coast Marine Terminals. And we've got we got the World Cup happening right now, and we've got some targeted advertisement in Vancouver through some grants that, targets those people with the money to attend FIFA to, advertise our location, our deep water port. So thank you so much for that. And I hope that's something that we can include for information on our next council meeting.
Terrific. Thank you, Counselor Waymire. I always like to follow up on things that I introduced to these chambers. Folks might be wondering what the status is of our foreshore industries down there with our Airnuka and the UCHUC, because we reported here that they didn't have access to water for a period of time. I was just down there the other day talking to the owners, and they're very pleased that they've been able to reestablish their water supply, and that it's reliable, and they have a good agreement with the providers. So I'm really pleased to hear that, because without water, it's pretty tough to run their businesses down there, especially for West. When you look at the sort down there, if you're not hosing down the asphalt down there or something, it gets really hot and hard on the tires and wears them out really quick. But there's all sorts of things. But I'm glad to hear that that's been resolved. I also talked to the owners of the UCHUC to find out what the status is on that vessel, because I know Councillor Pringle brought it up last time, and I was really alarmed when I heard it, because if the UCHUC is down, that has a ripple effect throughout the whole region as well as the whole regional economy. And they've got it apparently under an accelerated repair right now. It's a dry dock, I believe, down in Victoria, and they're working on it, and the best estimate, so they'll have it refitted by the end of the month, beginning of July. So I'm just very hopeful that that works out for them, because that would be a real blow to the economy here, especially over the summer, if that UCHUC was down. And I know they're doing a lot with the Greer. I think when you get down there, they're working 24 hours out of Henry. Councillor Fossman probably know, he serves that area, but they're working like 24 hours a day down there, 7 days a week to keep up, just to because they're one boat down. So I was pleased with that. And kind of in the theme of the foreshore, I haven't forgot about West Coast Marine Terminals, and I keep on repeating the mantra: as West Coast Marine Terminals go, so does the Village of Gold River. If we're going to realize our destiny as a reinvigorated industrial community, we're going to need to develop that site, and we're going to have to partnership in a way. And we have a limited role, but we do have a role. So I did follow up with folks at the management group and the ownership group of Gold River Aqua Farms. And we had a really productive meeting, and they were able to share a number of things with me that was very encouraging. That suggests that they're still actively pursuing that site. They're actively developing that site. They're moving their project forward. They have a business plan, and they hope to be able to provide the community with some good news going forward. And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to announce something in the next little while. But they are still there, and they are still active, and they do have a viable business plan. And we're hoping that that comes through pretty soon, because they could be, if they get their business set up and running the way they want it to be, or how they envision the expansion, that'll be a real game changer for Gold River. That will be the part of our industrial driver. And like I said, as a village, as West Coast Marine Terminals go, so does the Village of Gold River. If something happens down there and there's investment and there's jobs and there's some taxes and people living in town and everything gets revitalized here, I think you take care of that down there. A lot of the stuff that we need in town is going to take care of itself. So I just want to share that with the community. I don't like to beat the drum too hard because I've been here for a long time and we've heard a lot of proposals come and go and there's a lot of expectation and hype and disappointment. But so I'm not going to bang the drum too loud other than let people know that Gold River Aqua Farms is still a viable entity down there and they're still active. They haven't gone anywhere and they're hoping to be able to announce some good news to the Village of Gold River in the next little while. So that's probably the most important thing that I wanted to share with the community because I know that a lot of people are struggling in our community and it's, and it's hard to find employment. There's not a lot of good jobs or good paying jobs. So it'd be nice to be able to turn that around so that we had a different type of economy. But anyways, that's it for me. So that's reports from council. Information items, 10-1, work in progress. The council received the work in progress for information. You care to move it? Councillor Waymire, second by Councillor Fossin. Any discussion? I see that our list is getting shorter and shorter. I think CAO Roy was asking that we might want, if we had some other ideas, we might want to lengthen that list for him because that's like everybody bought their favorite pet project with them tonight. Add that to the list.
Just a note, though, we're about 4 months away from
Yeah,
the
that's it.
election.
Yeah, I know. We shouldn't be making any major decision with 4 months left on our exhausting mandate. I get that. Go ahead, Councillor Pickard.
Thank you through the chair. And just wondering, we have Director of Operations here and Administrator Roy. I know it's not on as an action item or a resolution here, but wondering if this would be appropriate now to do, if we had an update on the field, Marling Field, and if there was any schedule for renos there and how the slow pitch tournament was looking like. Is that
Director of
possible?
Operations,
Thank you.
Dockley, care to
Thank-
respond to that, sir?
If I may, through your worship, I
Thank you.
don't have much. The adjuster was out and was thinking, but still had to get authority or permission to do a sole source. But given the distance and the travel distance and in getting multiple quotes, he was going to try and get it permitted that he could do a sole source with plumbing and electrical to repair the concession. I haven't got confirmation yet if that's a go or not, or where they're at. And then we had a further break in since then, just in the last about week and a half or so of May. Somebody's broken into the ball field lighting system, and so that circuit is down. Was talking with the adjuster again on a new claim on that one, and we're getting an estimate from the electrician to determine whether or not it makes sense to go through insurance and pay the deductible or initiate the claim and have insurance do the repairs. So yeah, right now we have I guess 3 police reports and insurance claims or the pending insurance, 2 of them for sure and 1 pending. So unfortunately.
Any follow, Councillor Pickard?
If I may, again, through your worship, I apologize. The slow pitch tournament organizer has been made aware of these things and is kind of trying to work the schedule and agenda with some of these uncertainties in mind to the best of their ability. But if there's an update, we're keeping them in the know as best we can.
Thank you through the chair. Thanks for the update. And I think Administrator Roy said we can only work at the speed of insurance here. So thanks for keeping them in the loop. And it's an unfortunate event that happened to the community and really sad, but hopefully we can make it in time. And thanks for you guys' extra work with that in the meantime, and the RCMP too.
Director of Operations, Docs, is there a drop dead date for the event that if we can't provide the facilities that they require for their event, or do we have a deadline there for them?
If again, through your worship, I don't have a drop dead date or deadline from the organizer. I have, one of the initial conversations with the adjuster was around the provision of rental facilities.
Okay,
And so that was part of the conversation that kind of led them towards thinking they could sole source and get the whole thing operational prior to the event.
right.
So there is still some possibilities of some flexibility with insurance. If they can't get it repaired, there may be an ability to have, you know, say like, you know, the equivalent of like I say ADCO trailer, but like a prefabbed washroom with showers, like backfilling some of the losses associated with the concession being down. So the showers and the bathrooms are a big part of that.
Yep.
So.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions now that we've migrated them to the hot seat? Counselor Fossin?
Thank you through the chair to our Director of Operations. It's quite shocking to hear that they've attacked the actual lighting as well. And I'm assuming it's going to go through insurance, but I'm wondering, is there a backup plan? You just mentioned possibly an ACO trailer for the bathrooms. Is there a backup plan that could be put in place, regenerator wise, extra lighting brought in, anything of that nature that could help salvage the loss of the use of the external lights at the ball diamonds?
If I may, through your worship, yes. I don't have the final, like, I don't have the details on if that would be covered through insurance or not, or what those costs would be. But those will be some of the background things that we have to look into here as the date approaches and the lack of, you know, if construction or repairs hasn't initiated, we'll have to pursue those in more earnest. So, but for right now, I don't know.
Follow up, sir?
I just wanted to say, through the chair, thank you for that. I think it puts the residents of Gold River at ease that we're working towards a solution for Gold River Days.
Yeah, I agree with you, Counselor Fossin. It's very encouraging to see staff is prioritize this and dedicating resources to it and trying to get a good outcome for the community. It's unnerving, the uncertainty, you know, and so it's probably more so for you because you have to deliver. But yeah, I'm hoping that things go well because that's an important event in our community, and we appreciate all the efforts that you're putting in to make sure that we give it every chance to succeed. Thank you, sir. Counselor Pringle, I finally seen your hand. I hope you haven't been having that up there for a lot. It's
No,
not
I
blue
just
or
put it
anything, is it?
No.
Go
I just
ahead,
wanted to
Counselor Pringle.
say to the chair, thank you for that. And what a disappointment. You know, everyone works so hard towards making our village such a wonderful place to be. And we have a few bad apples who feel they can just walk all over us and steal those kinds of things and make it hard for everybody and then make us pay even more money.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has so much to say about how much money we pay out and what we're paying for. And then we have these people who come in and vandalize us. It's so upsetting. And I would just hope that if anybody knows or sees something, to please get the RCMP involved and let them know on those files that this isn't acceptable. Thank you.
Fully agree with you, Counselor Pringle. Thank you for sharing those sentiments. Anything else? Nope. We're all good with that. If there's any updates on our, every time you come here, I ask you for an update on our stop sign. Any updates on our stop sign there, Director of Operations?
No, that still resides with the language experts with the local First Nations.
These things go pretty slow.
They can. I understand they have a few projects on the go, so in their defense.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other discussion? No? Call for question, all in favor? Done. Report of committee, seeing none. Bylaws. First one, 12.1. That's the delegation of authority bylaw number 764.2026. That the delegation of authority bylaw number 764/2026 report be accepted for information. You care to move it? Counselor Fossin, Counselor Waymar seconded. This is an interesting one. Discussion? While you guys are thinking about it, perhaps I'll just ask CO Roy if he would care to comment on this bylaw.
Thank you, Worship. This bylaw basically is formalizing a bit more into a bylaw, the practice and the things that we do already with the authorities that we do have in policies and stuff. What it will also do, because we also put them under our website, will also add to our transparency. So it'll make things a bit more transparent. The things that are in there are, some of them are covered in some policies that we do. And it's just to try to centralize a little bit more, make it clear what the delegation of authority is and where the duties are. Under the community charter, the CO is responsible for the day-to-day business of things that, as you see in the delegation bylaw, a lot of that stuff is some day-to-day stuff. It's just, which is the next bylaw, the officer appointment bylaw. It states who, this is what. So they kind of work together. And of course, I guess while I'm on that topic right now, the other one is on there because it had wording in there that there was no delegation, which would have provided a conflict between the two bylaws. So that's why the other bylaw is on there, and they're both on here at the same time. So we're also eliminating any conflict between the two bylaws.
Thank you, sir. Councilors, any questions that you'd like to address the CO? For my clarification, is this a new bylaw, Director of Operations, excuse me, CO Roy? Because
From my research of our bylaws, it is a new bylaw.
this is a new bylaw. This isn't a revision of an existing bylaw.
That is correct.
Okay.
And if you look at other communities, you will see they do have delegation authority bylaws, so we're not unique. This one was structured to keep in mind our smaller nature.
Is there a reason that staff felt it was necessary to bring this particular bylaw to council at this time? Because we're, like you said, that most other communities have it. We haven't had it for 61 years. What is the reason that staff feels that they need to have this bylaw to manage the village corridor?
It formalizes the authorities, or that is delegated. It is addressed in the community charter, and similar to the policy that we brought forward last meeting, it's also getting prepared for the next incoming council, having something that clearly documents that, so that if there's a reference document, can be beneficial with an orientation of a new council. So it is a bit of housekeeping. It is a bit of making more transparent of our operations.
So from what I see in your report, it's a codification of a number of things that the village already has that provides good governance in the community. And you're just taking all this information and you're compiling it into one bylaw. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Yeah. Is there anything in there that's been added that falls outside of what our existing governance documents are?
No, Your Worship. We already have a purchasing authority, which the bylaw references, that identifies the spending thresholds and how things are to be approved for those purchases. We already do deal with the hiring and discipline of staff.
Yeah. We
already deal with signing contracts and whatnot as we need to within the thresholds, depending on the nature of the agreement. So and we also do the sign business license, which is a permit, and the document does reference that, and except where there's exception where it has to come to council, then it still comes to council. It doesn't really change what we're doing. It just codifies it, as you clearly alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
And just makes it very transparent. And again, I think it will help when we come to a new council for orientation, have some of this stuff clearly stated.
Just an observation, it's a very in-depth document. It's a very complex document. It affects a lot of things within the organization. And I, for one, would like to have more time to study it, to research it, investigate, look at questions here, because we received it on Thursday night, and it's It's, we're making a decision, which I think is a pretty dramatic decision on the governance of this organization. And we're talking about how we're going to govern and the distribution of power and how we're distributing those authorities within the organization. And I would like more time personally to reflect on this. So it's not that I'm completely opposed. It's just that I'm concerned about the dynamic between council and staff in our organization, and we're the basically we're the decision making or the authority or the accountability or oversight is. I'm not quite sure if it's all reflected in here because I haven't, as I read through, I see some things in there that, that could be subject to interpretation. From my perspective, it's something that's very impactful. And I'm looking at a council that's in this state or this part of their mandate where they basically got this meeting and then we're into summer and meeting once a month in the summer and then probably nothing in the fall. That'd be of significance because we're into election season at that time. And I feel uncomfortable a little bit in terms of imposing something like this, that's this significant in terms of structuring or restructuring our operations without fully understanding it. And I kind of want to look at it a bit more so. And I'd feel more comfortable if somebody with a new council with a new mandate would be looking at this rather than a council on their, in the last days of their waning mandate, making a decision, imposing it on the next council, because we haven't had this document, as the CEO has said, since 1965 we're incorporated. So that's 61 years we've been operating without it. I'm sure we could operate it without a few more months and then bring in a new council, who have got a fresh mandate from the electorate to take a look at this and see whether or not they feel comfortable with what this is doing to the administrative dynamic in our
So this
organization.
document, your worship, that does reinforce the council one employee modeled as was discussed with the consultant that you guys had come in and to have some discussions with you.
Yep.
So it does reinforce that model that council has already been working with and councils previous to this council have worked with.
Yes. So that's my sentiments. It's not that I'm completely opposed to it. It's just that, I think it's worthwhile to defining those roles and responsibilities. I'm just not quite sure I have a good grasp of what's happening here. And I've gone through and I've read it, and there's some things, the questions I had, and there's inquiries, and there's things I wanted to research and study and reflect on before I move forward. And I'm feeling that a bit rushed on this one because we're talking about adopting something for second and third reading tonight and passing it. That I think has a significant impact on the composition of our organization and how we do business. And I don't see any reason that there's the urgency, like the administrator has shared with us, that we already have those documents in place in other places. It's not like we don't have this, and that we haven't had this for 61 years and we've been able to struggle through and manage ourselves. And I want to make sure that if we're doing something that this impactful in our organization, that I fully understand what I'm agreeing to. Right now, I don't know what I'm agreeing to, quite honestly. And when I look at it, I want to make sure that when you use something about delegation of authority, that means that this council would be abdicating responsibilities and authority that they're entrusted with under different legislations like Community Charter, Local Government Act, and delegating it to staff. And I want to make sure that I fully understand what that dynamic is, because I like to see more authority with council and mayor and not less. And if we have responsibilities, I want to be very sure about what we're talking about delegating and whether or not that's just a routine thing in governments and that's accepted in governments, or how's it interpreted? What's that relationship between the council and staff? If we delegate it, can we ask staff questions about it? Can we give them direction on it? Do we still have authority over that? Do we have oversight? Or don't we? I want to make sure that we understand that fully.
And
I
do believe in the bylaw does stipulate that it does not change council's oversight. Council still retains that oversight and that responsibility. I believe that there is a section that clearly states what council's responsibilities are and what their authority is, and that they still retain it. And that anybody does have the right to, like, if a permit is denied, to come back to council to get it revisited.
Thank you very much.
Those type of things are in there.
Yep.
It's not stripping council of their authority or oversight responsibility.
Thank you, CA Roy. Any other counselors, what are your sentiments on this? I'm curious to hear what my colleagues are thinking, whether I'm just overreacting and want to better understand something that's of this significance and not rushing it, or whether or not you guys are comfortable with it. Start off with Councilor Pringle because she's been holding her hand up there probably forever and I haven't noticed her, but Councilor Pringle, what are your thoughts?
To the chair, I don't have a problem for you going and doing some. If you feel you're not comfortable, then I don't have a problem waiting until the July meeting. And then I think this would be really helpful for the next council coming in. And I think it would be awesome if you don't feel right about it, then do your due diligence and look it up and let us know what you think again. But yeah, I don't have a problem with waiting till July and then having it ready for the new council. If that's what you prefer, that's fine with me.
Thank you, Councilor Pringle. Councilor Fossin.
Thank you through the chair. I appreciate your points that you've made, and I sort of echo those as well. I do believe that as elected officials, we have certain authorities that we've been entrusted with from our members of our community, particularly in regards to the finances of the village. So when I look at number 4, Financial and Procurement Authority, one, backing up before that though, I do believe that we've stated administrative authority is laid out perfectly there. Human resources, number 3, laid out perfectly there. But for me, when I get to the finances, that's where my alarm bells go off. And I look at the number 4, the value threshold under 5,000, manager, department heads, approval authority. Great. 5,000, 24,999. Department head. I have a problem with that. Formal quotations, 25,000 to 74,999. Department head and CAO. I have a problem with that. Greater than 75,000 and greater, council. We are the elected officials that worked hard to bring us into the black, asking our staff to do more with less. And I do believe that we are the ones who are elected, who are accountable to the electorate who elected us for the financial state of our village of Gold River. And I feel that if we're turning a lot of this over to staff, that just sort of takes out the ability for council to really uphold the finances of the business of Gold River. So I would like to say that I'd like to just see that we receive this for information and leave it for the next council.
Thank you, Councilor Fossin. Councilor Waymire.
Just a point of clarification through the chair to our CAO. My understanding is this is just kind of codifying everything we already do, including policy 306, our purchasing policy. So under our policy we already have in place, are the numbers that Councillor Fossin was referring to already in place?
That is verbatim out of our policy. The policy goes a little bit further, that it states that the item has to be within budget. It has to be the lowest bid. If it's not the lowest bid or in budget, it has to come back to council. So even though those are those thresholds for us to proceed, if it violates those the conditions that are in the policy, it has to come back to council. What you've seen in the past or the other item was sole source, where we've come back to council because our policy states we don't have that authority. So those thresholds just state as long as we're within those things and be able to confirm that, yes, it's lowest bid, it's, meets all those conditions, then we can proceed. Otherwise, it's clearly stated it has to come back to council. Again, it's still, so the council gives the authority as long as these conditions are met.
Thank you, CAO Roy. Councilor Waymire, follow-up question, sir?
Not a follow-up question so much as just my own thoughts on this particular bylaw. What I'm seeing here is more or less just a codification of what we are already doing, and it reinforces the one employee model which we've been following. Um, Looking at point 5A in particular, nothing in this bylaw restricts council's authority to make decisions. That right there is kind of, you know, what we do. We make the decisions, we are the governance, and they are the operations and the administration. And we don't want to step in their way, and they're not, you know, authorized to step in our way of, you know, making decisions, making the budget. So I don't particularly have a problem with this bylaw. I think it's great that we are, you know, getting it down on paper. Because I know, you know, you look at, say, campsite, we don't have something on paper. Things can get messy. So I'm, you know, thank you to staff for putting this forward. As for the timing of it, I don't think we should be necessarily leaving it for the next council. I agree with Councillor Pringle. It's probably worth revisiting on our first, or I guess only July meeting. And, you know, if, you know, because I too did feel rushed, you know, this comes out on Thursday. I look at it on Saturday, I'm like, oh, okay, this is one of the wordier ones. Like, okay, this is why I didn't go to law school. So yeah, I think we should, you know, not push it back, you know, until, you know, 2027, because I mean, the next council will come in and, you know, they're going to come in November. They're going to look at this and go like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, I think, you know, if we were to defer this to our July meeting, I would be quite happy with that. And I too would like to feel a little less rushed.
Thank you, Councillor Whammer. Councillor Pickard, do you want to weigh in or you're good?
Sure, thank you. Thanks to the chair and thanks for everybody's comments. This is fascinating. But yeah, it's a really a wordy report and lots to unpack here, and without much explanation or just not lots of definition of what we're doing and what's new, or highlighting anything that might be coming into bylaw that is a change from what we're doing. I respect and appreciate Mayor Lott's sentiments that and Councillor Waymire that it does feel a bit rushed and a little bit gray and uncertain of what the bylaw actually is, and without anyone asking for it and not fully understanding what the differences might be. I think that accepting it for information might be a good recommendation, and then either deferral to maybe one of the summer meetings. New council might be lots, as Councillor Waymire said, to understand. I know everybody on the team's had a lot of time kind of understanding what the way we work. So I think maybe us looking at it again might be good. There's a little bit, I'm unsure of some of the parts of it too, where, you know, a lot of times in council, as Councillor Fossen said, we are elected and the elected body and are looking at kind of big picture things and finances, and whereas the employees and municipal officers kind of have a different scope. And I've been told that lots during the 4 years. This is operational, this is policy. Like, it doesn't mix. You do this, we do this. So I think keeping that separation is really important. Yeah, so I'd like to have a bit more clarity on it, and just keep the elected official stuff a little bit more separate than delegating powers and duties and functions to municipal officers and employees. And another kind of murky part too, at the bottom, it's council has can request reporting and reconsider decisions where permitted. But with capacity and a one employee model, we don't really know all the decisions. A lot of decisions happen after the fact, and then we hear complaints and get complaints on them. So I think, you know, that might sound like oversight, but with limited capacity, it isn't really oversight, because we don't know all the decisions being made and don't want to know all the decisions being made. So yeah, and it does reinforce our one employee model, but I don't know, and that might be growth for the village or not, but I don't know if we always want to be operating in the one employee model, and maybe we want to operate in a more employees model one day. So I think, except for information would be great at this time.
Elroy would probably go for that. Say Elroy?
You can always, as you can always defer, you can always just give one reading, which doesn't, it means it still comes back. So those are your options. The first three is traditionally what we've done, but you can do just one reading and then it just comes back to the next, and then it gives you another 2 3 weeks, whatever it is, to our next meeting to continue to review it. So
I think where we're at right now is just receiving it for information, and then we could, again, there's another part to this, I believe, if we want to accept.
that's correct. I'm just going to what you're saying, but
Yeah.
if you just leave it receive for information, doesn't really leave much further direction.
Yeah, I think at this point, I'm comfortable just receiving it for information and then making a determination on how I feel as I go through this and research it on if I want to bring it back or not bring it back. I'm not convinced that I really even want to bring it back. I think this is not something that a council and our part of our mandate should be actually making decisions on what's this significant and this impactful, and impose it on a new council coming in that's going to have a fresh mandate from the community in 3 months from now. And I don't think that there's a necessity at this point or urgency to have it done within, within a month or anything. There's no rush, from my perspective. We ran without this for 61 years. Why would we implement something like this that we don't fully understand, that could have significant impacts on the dynamics of how we do business and organization, where the authority is in the organization, how we do oversight, how we do accountability. And I'm in actually no rush to do this. I don't even think this is necessary for this council to be considering this. I'm looking at accepting it for information and not going any farther on it at this point. Councillor Pringle.
Thank you to the chair. I agree with you to a point, Mayor. I would just like to say that if when we came into council, we were lucky that we had you with us because you knew a lot of how things worked, and who delegated what, and to keep policy and these things separated. And CAO Roy was very good about letting us know those things as well.
Yes.
But if there's a whole new council coming in, and I was on that council, I think I would be very appreciative of knowing these things and not being told, maybe CA Roy won't be there. And it could be someone who is less ruthless, or who, no, I didn't mean that, is very ruthless and could.
You gotta be careful, Councillor Pringle.
I know, but because CAO, he was very good explaining all these things for us. But if for some reason he leaves and someone comes in and has a different take of how things are done, we could really be led down a garden path. So I think that we should take the time, but I think, in my opinion, it's something that we should get done before the new council comes in, because I would have been very appreciative of it, even though we had you.
Thank you, Councillor Pringle. Yeah, I think that I would feel more comfortable with a model where there's some working time on this, and that if we were going to be dealing with it, we'd be dealing with the committee of the whole, and that we'd have a lot more time to dedicate it. Like I've said, is that at this point, I'm not saying that there's anything that is wrong with the codification of this document and then having it all in there, and it's just a simple housekeeping thing. But I'm not convinced that I feel that way at this point, and I'm not certain if that's what it is. And I want to do my due diligence as an elected official and the representative of the public, and the electorate, that, I've looked at this and that this is nothing new. This is just a codification. Everything else exists out there. It's not transferring any powers. It's not taking away oversight. It's not dealing with a situation where passing authority from what we should be doing as our responsibilities over to staff. And I want to make sure that very clear that that's the case. And I'm not certain of that right now. With this document, I'm not certain. I'm not at this point, I don't feel comfortable that I could look any of my constituents in the eye and say, yeah, I fully understand what the intention of this document is, and I know what it's doing and what it's allowing. Here's all the workflows. Like, you look through every single workflow. Do I understand every single workflow? Do I agree with every single workflow there? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm not in a position where I'm prepared to do this. I would think this is something that if I was looking at it, I'd be looking at this as somehow engaging staff and council together, having workshops on it, going over why we're doing this and what this is and what effects it has on, and then looking at maybe committee of the whole and having discussions publicly, but, bring it in and something that, that seems very rushed to me and something so impactful on our governance, and then doing it at the end of our mandate. And I don't see the why we would want to do that. I just don't see the value at this point. And there may be some value going down, the road. Somebody, they convinced me that, if everything's okay in it and I'm comfortable with it and I understand it, I'd be supportive of it and I could go forward. But right now I don't feel that way. And I don't feel that I should
hear
be
you.
doing that. If I can't answer to my constituents and give them a reasonable explanation, because I don't understand it, I shouldn't be doing it. Thing. And there's always a question about, I always feel that, if your mandate's running out and you're at the end of your term, you shouldn't be making these type of decisions. This should just be housekeeping things that we're doing in the last few months that we're here, not making significant structural changes or decisions on how we govern at this point. I just can't sell. I don't think I could sell it to anybody in the public, and most of the public, they're concerned about one thing, is that they're concerned that we elected you, we expect you to be governing. You are the authority within the organization, and you have these responsibilities and these authorities, and we want to make sure that you have those and that you're not delegating them. You may have somebody that assists you in completing them, or somebody who works for you, but to say that they have it and that you can't ask them questions on it or give them direction on it or anything because it's not, it's been determined that that's not appropriate for council to be doing that. I'm not sold on this. I have a lot of reservations about this, and I feel uncomfortable with it, to be quite honest. And I'm not prepared to support this at this time, other than to receive it for information. And I'll study it a bit more, and I'll talk and work with my administrator a bit more. But at this point, I don't feel comfortable with it at all. But I'm only one of
think we
5
got- I
votes.
think we got
But
the point you're-
I
I
don't
think we
know.
got the point that you're not
Is it just me
comfortable.
that's feeling rushed, or just feeling that this is fairly significant change that we could be making? We don't fully understand it. And after you've made your 1, 2, and 3 and you voted and it's law, that's a legal document, you're bound by it. So do you guys feel that you really know what you're agreeing to here tonight? If we want to go any further? I don't. You guys might, but I don't. Like Councilor Mayor Sarah's legal document, it needs some time. I feel rushed, and I'm not I feel no urgency myself. Like I can get through the
I
rest of
don't
my
think anybody
term
wants to
without
do that
this
tonight.
document. And I've got enough stuff out there that I know if this is just a codification that provides good government, why do I need this? So anyways, that's where I am. I'm sharing with you because I feel uncomfortable, and I shouldn't feel uncomfortable. I should be able to say to any constituent that meets me outside exactly what I'm doing, why I'm doing, and what I'm agreeing to, and I can't. And because I can't, I'm not prepared to go any further than receiving this for information tonight. As I learn more, as I study more, as I research more, as I convince myself that this is, this is okay, no problems, we move on. But I'm not, if it takes me 3 months, whatever, I'll take the time I need. I'm not going to rush myself on something that's this critical, that I see as very, very impactful. Because once you agree to it, like I said, legal document, you own that decision. Yeah, whatever authority and that you're transferring or delegating here, you can't go back on that, right?
Mhm.
So you need to understand what you're deciding upon here before you go forward, especially with something like this. We're talking about delegation of authority. Because I don't want to see this council or mayor delegate any authority that they don't have to delegate. That's where I am. So I don't know where you guys are. I think I know where the community is, because I talk to people a lot of times and they want to see us maintain our responsibilities and our authority and not delegate them. That's what I get.
Are we voting?
Unless
Do we have
there's
a
some-
motion?
Unless there's some more discussion. Any more discussion on the receipt? We're just on receipts still.
Okay. Sorry, I was
No.
lost there.
Councilor Pickard.
Thank you through the chair, and thanks, Mayor Lott. Just want to say thanks for your just being sincere and expressing your discomfort with this and just bringing it up for discussion and kind of, I appreciate you really wanted to be transparent for the residents and be transparent to the community. And it does seem, like a strange thing that we would want to do delegation of certain powers and duties and functions to municipal officers and employees as a bylaw without much definition there. Where I know one of the municipal employees very well, and they looked into seeing if they could be on council, like for the next term, but a municipal employee can't run for council. So then it seems like it's mixing things up. If they can't run for council, but council can delegate authority and power to them. And I think, yeah, as you mentioned, it's just, there's transparency and we are accountable and at these meetings every 2 weeks and are public with all the decisions. So I don't think this would all be public too. So it would kind of just take a little bit of transparency, I think, for all these residents that come and listen to all the discussion and debate and see what decisions we're making and where power is. So I think in the name of accountability and transparency, I think accepting it for information is a good idea.
Any other discussion? Saying none. Oh, Councillor Weimer.
Yeah, just an idea of like we can defer this as much as we want. But I also totally agree with Councillor Pringle's point that, we're elected, the five of us were green as could be. And, now that we've got, some footing under us, we're elected to make these sorts of decisions. I would personally like to defer this to our July meeting to give us a couple of weeks to digest it. And worst case scenario, we just defer it further if we still feel uncomfortable with it. So I guess I'll make a motion to defer this to our July meeting.
How about we just, if I can just suggest something to the councils, that we just receive this for information at this point, and that's the first part of the motion, and then we can look at the second motion and then just defer it if you wish, rather than vote for second and third. Would you be open just to receiving at this point and then making a motion to defer it after?
Sure.
Yeah, so I think we have enough discussion. Why don't we call for the question? All in favor receipt? I'm in favor receiving the document. And Councillor Weimer, did you want to, or anybody else want to make a subsequent motion other than the one that's on the our agenda? Because the agenda item is for adoption, basically. Councillor Weimer.
I was already live. I make a motion to defer the rest of this to our July meeting.
Roy, what's appropriate?
Table it to the next meeting, Your Worship.
Or table it to their next meeting.
Thank you, sir. That there's a motion on the table. Who would care to second it? Councillor Pringle, any discussion? Call for the question. All in favor? Okay, I will talk about it next time. Okay, have some time to look at it. And I would think that if we're looking at the next one, officer appointment, it is married to the discussion we just had on this one. And I think that it would fall with the same fate, that we'd accept it for information and then we would look at deferring it to discussion and consideration for next meeting because they're tied together. So I'll read out the 12.2, the officer appointment bylaw number 765, 2026. And the motion is that the officer appointment bylaw number 765, 2026 report be accepted for information. Who care to move it? Councillor Clausen, seconded by Councillor Waymeyer. Any discussion? Call for the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And then I would think that we would look at doing the same type of motion we did. Councillor Waymeyer, would you like to do another motion on?
Yeah, I'd like to do a motion to table this until our July meeting.
And we have a seconder, Councillor Pringle. Any discussion? Call for the question. All in favor? Done. Okay. Thank you. On to item number 13, correspondence 13.1. It's K Little. I'll probably get the pronunciation really bad, so, but I'll try it. Sewaxin Viewpoint. And that the motion is that council receive the block correspondence for information. Who care to move it? Councillor Fawson, second by Councillor Waymeyer. And I think Councillor Fawson, you wanted to speak to this?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm privileged to speak on this this is one resident that has talked to me a fair bit about this the state of affairs of this tourist information area just outside of Gold River as we head down to the dock. Knowing that we have a lot of tourists that like to come and use our campground and then head down to the ocean to view the waterfalls and view the points of interest. When I had seen, before I even seen the pictures, when this resident, Kristen Little, had come to me and talked to me, I drove down there and saw it myself.
Mhm.
And as I drive down that road almost every day to provide services to our businesses down there, I was quite shocked. And I felt like I wanted to grab a hammer and grab some screws and fix this myself. Because the last thing I want to see is tourists or even residents of Gold River getting hurt.
Mhm.
I mean, I remember, allow me a little nostalgia here, but let's just say over 20 years ago, moving to Gold River, being able to walk this little trail and pull off and be appreciative of the walkway and the state of the trail. It was just it was awesome. But seeing the way it is now upsets me. So it must have set a lot of residents as well. And I'm really thankful she brought this forward. I encouraged her to put a letter and put in pictures. And I said, bring it to us again. We need to have action on this. And so I just want to say thank you to her and the other residents who have encouraged her and who've worked with her to compile the information and the pictures. And I really like to see us take some action instead of, yes, it seems like nobody knows who owns this or takes responsibility for it. And government, we know, moves slowly, as we've discovered over 4 years, or 3 3/4 years. I would just hate to see a liability issue and someone get hurt. And when it's something that maybe we as a village, as council who's been elected, who wants to protect our residents and tourists, maybe there's some solution we can come up with. So that's just my statements.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Boston, Councillor Pringle.
I was under the understanding that this was under parks. I don't think the village had anything to do with putting this in. This was when all the guys were off at the mill and they had a fund, and the guys and gals put all these viewpoints in. So I thought they were then taken over by parks after they were done, because that's where they got the funding, I thought, or from the government somewhere. But I didn't think they were part of the village. Do we have clarification? I know he just said that nobody seems to know who owns it, but I'm just wondering, can we find out who's gonna, do we have a committee on this or someone going to look into that to make sure? Because I wouldn't think that it would be our liability. Wouldn't it be the Department of Highways liability?
Councillor Pringle, there's a lot of good questions in there, and I know I've had a conversation with Sia Roy, and Sia Roy has a lot of the answers to the questions that you just presented. So
Awesome.
maybe I'll do is just pass it on to Sia Roy, and he can respond because he's done some research on this.
Thanks, Your Worship.
Thank you, sir.
Obviously, as everybody's aware, this is outside our jurisdiction. It is very adjacent to the highway, which makes me think along the lines of Polis on it. So I did reach out to our contact with the Ministry of Transportation and Transit.
Mhm.
And his response back to me is he's not sure who owns it and he's looking into it. I did mention to him that we do have a local resident who's been raising safety concerns with it. So I'm hoping to hear back something from him again on that. If not, I will be following up further with him. But it seems to be an orphan out there that nobody's claimed ownership. I'm a little leery because of its proximity to the highway that it doesn't fall under highways. But again, I'm not sure how the province is categorizing it. It's not similar to the Mushroom Lake because Mushroom Lake is clearly under the recreational trails and whatnot, whereas this isn't. It is, do they treat it as a pullout? I don't know. So I have been working on trying to get some further clarification on it, but it's not simple because nobody seems to know whose responsibility it is.
Follow-up question, Councillor Fossin.
Thank you to my fellow councillor Pringle, and thank you to the CAO and through our worship to the CAO. Would it behoove the Village of Gold River to at least put warning sign there or some warning tape, caution tape on the actual structure that is really, if someone leaned on it, would get seriously injured, no matter whether it's the province or whoever. I'm just thinking out loud, and I'm asking the question because it is a danger. And I think as the Village of Gold River and as the elected council, one, we manage the finances, but we also want to protect the residents of Gold River and the possible tourism. So my question to the CEO is there anything against the policy of us putting up a warning sign, much like we did at the Nipkish, on Nipkish Road there, where we put up big bump when the road is collapsing? You know, is there any policy or anything that would restrict us as a village from putting up a warning sign or caution tape or anything to mitigate any liability that we might come under?
CEO Roy, would you care to respond to that, sir?
Oh, NIMCISH, of course, is within our jurisdiction and our responsibility to identify the hazard and whatnot. This is not within our jurisdiction, so liability coming back to us, I think would be a stretch. I guess my question would be more might be a legal one, and I have to get some lawyer involved, would be if we started doing what you suggested, would that mean or imply that we would assume responsibility and therefore could be liable? I'm not sure we want to go down that road without at least being clear we're not setting ourselves up for accepting liability on something outside of our jurisdiction.
Follow-up, Councillor Fossin.
Thank you for that. I wanted to have that answer. I appreciate that. I kind of figured that, but not saying that I'm a vigilante dude,
Nope.
but I do own some caution tape, and I won't tell anybody if you see it up there, it wasn't me.
I hope that person that isn't doing it does it. Okay.
I don't want to see it there, Henry.
I won't be doing it.
I'm inclined to agree with our administration and our CEO Roy that we should make a determination on who's has the authority for that area rather than just jumping in and put ourselves at risk and putting the community at risk and our taxpayers at risk and have a liability there. So I'm patient. I'll wait until the CEO Roy gets back to us and lets us know whose actual jurisdiction it is, and then we can start, I think, going after the right people to get that thing remedied, rather than us taking it on because the people that are responsible aren't doing it. Okay. Anything else? That's correspondence. Councillor Pickard.
Thank you through the chair. Thanks, Councillor Fossin, for encouraging your friend or resident to bring this forward. It's really, even though it's super confusing of whose it is, it's great when people see a safety concern and that everyone drives by and could potentially have risk. So I really appreciate you helping guide her and her taking the time. And just kind of out of respect for her fantastic presentation and all her photos. In the meantime, while we wait for direction and clarity on whose jurisdiction and whose liability and whose responsibility it is, could we kindly request, probably Administrator Roy, just respond to Ms. Little and say, like, we discussed it in detail and we're concerned also and really want to do the right thing and keep residents safe, but also understand whose jurisdiction it is. And thank you for your photos and evidence. And
Roy, is that something you're willing to undertake, sir?
Yes, Your Worship.
Thank you, sir.
thank you
Councillor
so
Pringle.
much.
To the chair, just something, maybe Arlene Fair would be able to help because she was on the Nootka Society. She was their, I believe, their financial person. Because in the pictures it says that the Nootka Sound, or what was it? sorry, I just had it right here and then my phone died. The Nootka Sound Historical Society. She was on their board. So maybe she would be able to help with some of those answers or questions or.
So Roy is, what do you think, sir?
I can always reach out to her too.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other discussion? Call for the question, all in favor, done. New business. Um. Oh, there she is. Yeah, under late items, I requested that we look at reviewing the Village of Gold River bylaw enforcement model. Currently, we have what I would describe as a model that's reactive versus proactive. And I just wanted to discuss that with among council and staff to make sure that that's still the model that we're comfortable with, or we wanted to make some modifications to it because the staff is working on the premise that we're in a reactive model and that if there's a bylaw infraction within our community, that they won't respond to it unless there's a complaint that comes forward from one of our citizens. So if, I don't know, for example, if you're myself or a council member or a staff member or somebody else that was an employee identified something was an obvious contravention of our bylaws, and that that they're not really in the reactive model, they're not really empowered to bring it to the administrator and have him initiate the bylaw enforcement model. So we're kind of in a very passive situation right now. And we don't have a bylaw enforcement officer that's a full-time employee. We've chosen not to have that position. So we don't have somebody who's actively out there in the community identifying infractions and prosecuting the bylaws. So because we have a contractual model with the SRD. So I guess the question that I wanted to pose to council in discussion is, do they want to, and do they support the existing reactive model, which I say is a very passive model, or do they want to see more active by law enforcement in the community by empowering people and having a reactive model where one of the counselors brought something to the administrator's attention or the staff sees something or employee, then they would also be able to initiate that by law enforcement process, information letter followed by maybe contract by law enforcement officer coming in if the person's not going to respond to that. So I guess the question I have is that, are we comfortable with that model? Because I know I'm not sure I am. In fact, I know I'm not. I would prefer to see a more proactive model where we have, staff and council members and employees been able to have the same empowerment as our citizens in the community to initiate the process. And I'd also like to see us bring in our bylaw enforcement officer who we contract out through the SRD on a regular basis, whether it's every 3 months or something along that line, to do what our normal bylaw enforcement officer would do within our community, identify, flagrant violations of our bylaws and initiate the enforcement process. It kind of comes down to a principle to me that there's no point in us putting bylaws together if we don't have enforcement, because the bylaw is useless without enforcement. So, my thought is that is to go to a more proactive model, but I want to make sure that this council supports that, and because we're asking our staff to embrace something that's going to, it's a more confrontation, or it's more conflict, and there's also more resources that are going to be, their time is going to be taken up dealing with bylaw issues if we go to a more proactive model. So I'm kind of curious what council sentiments are on it, because I've had this conversation with the CAO and I respect the fact that operationally that's the model that we're under right now. And I just want to make sure that that's the model that this council is comfortable retaining. And so, staff feel comfortable that, that they're on the right track, and because they don't, if we ask them to do something more proactive and, they need to have that support, they need to know that council supporting a more aggressive model for our bylaw enforcement. So anyways, I don't know. That's my thoughts. I'd like to see a more proactive model, but I don't know if I have 2 other votes to go that way. I don't even know if we need votes other than just a direction on this one because I don't even know I don't think it's a motion, whatever the model is right now. So thoughts, anybody? Councilor Pringle, what are your thoughts? Can you turn your volume up a little bit? I'm getting older. Or can we turn the volume up there, Sia Roy? Is that as loud as it gets? I'm a
you
little
hear me
worried, Councilor Pringle, I'm not hearing your full presentation.
Can you hear me now?
I can, I'll just listen very carefully,
Okay.
but I gotta lean in.
um, I think this would have been something that
That's a
we
little
should have,
better, thank you. Thank you, Sia
We-
Roy. Go ahead.
I think this is something that we should have brought into our first year if this is what we wanted to do.
Yes,
I think people are very busy right now.
Yep.
And especially this summer. And I think that that's maybe something that the next council would be able to speak on better so they could have that for their 4 years. I think for us, it's a great idea. I love it, but I think we're a little too late.
hey, thank you, Councilor Pringle. Councilor Raymar.
Yeah, I mean, I share both views here. I really, like, any law that isn't enforced isn't really a law. And at the same time, this is something that we've looked at for 4 budgets in a row. And we've said, this is kind of the model that we're going to have to suck up because it's going to be cheaper than having somebody full-time or half-time or, so I guess, like, without somebody, actively in the community, it's going to be incredibly hard to catch, somebody with a dog off the leash and stuff. That being said, is there a situation where, something does seem like it should be enforced, like bringing in a bylaw officer on, a hot summer day to see who's watering their lawn when? Like, is there certain topics that we can, try and crunch down on while staying within our budget? Because that's, one part proactive, but without, throwing out the budget as it already stands. And I also, I guess, a point of clarification. My understanding is that staff already can enforce bylaws and normally do so, if, with education first, and then, we want to educate people to stop them from doing things. We don't want to slap them on the wrist. So I guess the point of clarification is, does staff internally already enforce the bylaws?
Sia Roy, what is our current dynamic for the passive reactive? model?
Basically, right now, we are on a complaint basis. I remember discussing this during our budget cycle. We respond on a complaint basis. So if we wait till we have a complaint before we proceed.
Just for clarification on complaint, who can initiate that complaint, Sia Roy?
Anybody can put in a complaint. We still want to document it so that it goes into the system. Anybody filing a complaint, it is anonymous. It's not restrictive to a member of the public or a staff member. A complaint can be done, but it's taking that step to formalize putting in a complaint.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Fossin.
Thank you, through the chair. Just a question. I know on our current model, my question, I guess, would be to the CAO. I don't want to assume, but who is our staff member that deals as bylaw with the complaints? And I'll hold off to my second question.
Sure.
So who is the staff member?
Generally, the complaints come into myself. I will, the SRD has a online platform that I use that I put it into, and then it goes off to their officers to address.
Follow-up
Yes,
question,
sir.
Your Honor. So for clarification for myself, then it is not a staff member of the Village of Gold River that then deals with the complaint, i.e. goes and enforces the bylaw?
Sarah Roy?
At this time, no, we've been utilizing the resources from the SRD for the few complaints that we've had come in. Bear in mind, there have not been tons of them. There's probably maybe 3 active files right now, and one of them's probably a year long. So there's not a ton of them that have come in that are getting action at this time.
Sorry, Your Worship, another follow-up question. Do we have has there been a financial cost to the Village of Gold River if they've sent out a bylaw officer to deal with these 3 complaints?
Sarah Roy?
Yes, there is a financial aspect of it under the agreement we have with the SRD. We do pay for that time. We do have a budget for that. The past several years, we have stayed well within that budget with our current model.
Thank you.
Certainly. So basically the sentiment I'm hearing is that council's accepted the decisions they made and that they're comfortable with the reactive model, and we'd like to want to continue on with that. Is that kind of where we are? Because it's kind of like one or the other. If we're asking them to step up their game and to be more active and have more enforcement, then we need to give them that direction. And I know that the budget has the ability to accommodate a bylaw enforcement coming in on a regular basis, like every 3 months, and doing a sweep through the community and identifying things that are flagrant violations of a bylaw and initiating bylaw process there if they want. And if CEO Roy is saying that that's a complaint-driven process, and I, as a mayor, see something I could put in a complaint, I'm happy with that. I just was under the impression that it was only citizen driven. So that's my misunderstanding, because I felt that it didn't remain much sense to me to have a citizen who's being affected by it. That makes all the sense in the world. But if I see something that I know is a flagrant violation of something like an abandoned vehicle in front of a property for 6 months, that's derelict. I don't see why I can't, initiate the process. And I misunderstood it. I thought that I wasn't able to do that. That's why I wanted to go to a proactive model where I could do that. But as long as I can put and activate the complaint process, I'm happy with that. That's good. The only other element that would probably be a component of the complaint process or the proactive process that kind of Councillor Waymire has alluded to, is that you could bring your bylaw enforcement officer in here on a basis, on a regular basis. That could be part of our step up and just say, do a sweep of the community. And if there's anything that you see, if you're like, they were a normal bylaw enforcement officer, they would identify and they would initiate the process rather than it just being complaint driven. So that would step it up a little bit if you're comfortable with that. If you're not, if you just like it to be complaint driven and like the model we have right now, I'm comfortable with living with that too. I just want to make sure that we're on the right track here. Councilor Waymire.
Yeah, I think you just summarized it perfectly. Something I would like to see, I mean, fiscal responsibility is fantastic, but when I see that our bylaw enforcement budget has not been spent, it means, I mean, either we were making tons of money from tickets or we just weren't really doing it. So, I mean, I would like to see staff bring in a bylaw enforcement officer semi-regularly. I'm not sure what that looks like, but just to, come scope out the community, even if it is for, the rest of our term, and so that we can, get a gist of, so that there is that presence, that there is, a bylaw enforcement officer out there. And if he finds nothing, once a month for the next 4 months, great. We're all very great citizens. But if he does find things, I mean, that's something that can be reported to us too, and, give us a little more guidance going forward.
Thank you, Councilor Waymire. A question to CEO Roy. CEO Roy, from an operational perspective, what would you think would be an effective cycle in terms of duration and bringing in bylaw enforcement into the community? In our budget, sir?
Of course, it always will depend on council's level of service that they wish to provide. With this late stage of the financial year, maybe every couple of months. I think if we were starting right from the beginning of the year, I might say, let's start with quarterly and see how things look. Again, I defer to council on the level of service they wish to have, but I think we could probably do at this stage every couple of months, having somebody come in.
So council, is that something that you're willing to support? I certainly support it. I'd be very comfortable with that. Councillor Fossin, did you have a question, sir?
Thank you, Your Honor. I lean towards Councilor Waymeyer. When we have bylaws and they're not enforced, there's really no bylaws. So I was leaning more towards the proactive. And also too, I was thinking about protecting our staff. It's nice hearing that we do have a bylaw officer that can come up, but also to protecting our staff from it, if they do have to go out and say, hey, you know, you're watering your grass too much. You know, like I look more at, they are already busy enough and I want to protect our employees, our staff. So I'm leaning more towards proactive.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else care to weigh in? Because what I got right now is a direction to staff to employ our bylaw enforcement officer through a municipal service agreement through the SRD on a 2-month basis until the end of our term. Councillor Waymeyer.
Yeah, and just for my own clarification, having it in that 2 months would theoretically fall within the budget that we've already allotted for this fiscal year.
So, Roy?
I believe it would, yeah.
So you don't need that as a motion, sir. I trust you just need that as a direction.
To be honest, I would prefer it for as a resolution, just as that direction,
Anyone care? to
because it
make-
is a change
so
of level
you-
of service
you-
that council's directed.
Is it, what about the durations, like the 2-month duration for this term, and then after that, you'd probably want to go quarterly? Is that what you were suggesting?
I would just suggest that it would be on a bi-monthly basis for the current year, and then it could be revisited with the council for the next budget.
Would care to make that motion? Councillor Fossing, second by Councillor Waymeyer. Any other discussion? Call for it. I nearly had it through. Councillor Pickard.
Nearly. Thanks through the chair, and thanks for bringing up this idea. And I think it's a really good balance of not having to go look back and redo the budget and being fiscally responsible. But as my fellow councillors have said, if there's bylaws but no one's enforcing them, it doesn't really matter. So I think it's not too surveillance-y, you know, once every few months, they can really see things that require some attention and people are neglecting and not really caring about. So I think it'd be great for the community and take the responsibility from our staff here and not have them do it, but have a chance for us to kind of leverage the SRD and be able to use them a little bit more and partner with them. So I think it's a perfect plan. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you, Councillor Pickard. Any other discussion? Nope. Call for the question. All in favor? What's that on your arm, Councillor Pringle?
Oh, they have casted my arm today.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah. Dumb.
Looks very fashionable.
Thank you. I'm going to put diamonds on it tomorrow.
Question period. Mr. Roy, do you have any questions online, sir?
No, your worship.
Chris, you're the only one left in the gallery. Do you have any questions, sir? Perfect.
Chris White, 507 Goldenheim Place. Chris White, 507 Goldenheim Place.
Welcome, Chris.
And it's a pleasure being here. And I just want to say, I quite enjoyed the meeting tonight. And Mayor Lott and the councilors, like you guys do a great job. And I was very, very pleased with the approach and how you handled things as they came forward. It's like, yes, I feel really good about how I'm being represented by my council. And thank you for that. You know, it's very encouraging for me anyway, and I quite enjoyed it.
No, I'm pleased to hear that. It's an affirmation for us. A lot of times in this job, as you remember, it's a job where you get beat up more than you get, how did somebody put it, get kicked in the butt more than you get pat on the back. So, you know, and
It's
when
not a
you're
happy
looking at it,
job.
it's quite a commitment,
No.
and I really appreciate the efforts of and the commitments of all the people that sat around this table and worked with myself for 4 years. in order
Yeah.
to get the community to where it was and to where it is now. And
Yeah. And
I'm very appreciative because I know these folks are on their own time and they're not
and-
getting paid a salary or wage and they're 24/7, 365. People can talk to them because they have to be available and there's no benefits and there's no holidays. So it's a pure, pretty well, a pure volunteer give to your community thing. So, yeah, when I hear somebody like yourself who's dedicated a lot of your life to public service, it's that has value to me, and I'm sure the council and the community. So thank you for that.
it's just so encouraging to hear you take 5.
Mhm.
You know, like the whole, all the stuff you dealt with tonight. I mean, it was great. It was just, it made me feel really good about your direction and how you guys are handling stuff. And it just, yeah, there's no rush to anything. It's 61 years. You know, there's no rush to do anything. Let's think this through. And I was very encouraged and very
Thank you,
pleased
sir.
and enjoyed my time here.
Yeah, you
As
can-
always.
If you're going to do that, you can come up and sit there anytime.
We have one online, your worship.
Thank you. Question online, go ahead, please.
Hello, it's Jenny Riddell Waymeyer from 417 Donner Drive.
Hi, Jenny.
Just a quick clarification that I was wondering.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
bylaw officer that comes in when they deal with a complaint, do they come in like per complaint or do they like come in when there's a couple of complaints and then make it into town when they can?
I'll just refer you to staff's.
Yeah,
They manage that. Okay, Jen?
yeah.
C.L. Roy or Director of Operations, Docs, if you would care to, C.L. Roy, sure.
Based on the number of complaints, sometimes it's just on one complaint, but the do on the staffing of the SRD, it's the position's also kind of been tied with the building inspectors. So when they're coming in doing inspections on that site, she's also looking at some of the bylaw stuff. Although the SRD has hired another bylaw officer, so who will be able to come out to do some of these things. But
Does that answer your question, Jenny?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. Have a good night. Bye now.
Okay.
All good? Everybody's happy? Go ahead, Chris. If you go to there and put the mic on, people that are watching online or will watch this in the future on YouTube will hear your questions, sir.
The July meeting, you're going to have one. Is it going to be the early meeting or the mid-month meeting?
We just have our one meeting in July and August,
But is it going to be mid-month or the start of the month?
beginning, I think it's right.
July 6th.
Yeah.
July 6th, okay. And August will be the first meeting in August then. Okay, thank you.
You're
I
right.
forgot.
You're quite welcome, sir. All done, question period? Good. No notice of motion. Motion to adjourn in camera, that council proceed in camera pursuant to section 91C, labor relations or other employee relations. Would you care to move that? Councilor Waymire, second by Councilor Pickard. Any discussions? All in favor? Thank you for coming out, sir. Have a good evening. Bye now.